As many of you know, it's tradition here at Coaster Dash that I'm the first content creator in the coaster enthusiast community to discuss all of the new roller coasters opening in the coming year. Though 2024 just got started and there's all sorts of new roller coasters debuting this season, I want to jump ahead to 2025 because I think it'll be one of the most important years for coaster investments in a long time. Now obviously we only know of a small fraction of these coasters right now, as many parks, especially those in America, tend to make their big announcements in the fall. But there's still plenty enough to talk about this far in advance, and part of the reason I say that is because of all the major theme parks opening in 2025, which in of themselves will have many large-scale roller coasters. For this video, I want to start by talking about the coasters that are confirmed or extremely probable, and then I'll mention theme parks that will definitely be receiving one, but we know little to nothing about the attraction. Lastly, I'll shout out a few parks that are rumored to receive new roller coasters, but don't have any evidence supporting these claims. As always, there will be no mention of kids coasters and mild family coasters, as well as alpine and mountain coasters. We'll also be going A to Z by theme park names specifically, since there's many new locations that will be opening multiple roller coasters. With that being said, let's get started with a pretty highly anticipated new addition to Alton Towers in the United Kingdom. Known currently as Project Horizon, this indoor roller coaster was approved for planning permissions in the beginning of 2023. As of now, it's unknown which manufacturer could be taking on this project, but if I had to take a guess, and this is also what I'd like to see come to the park, is an intimate multi-dimension coaster similar to Movie Park Studios at Movie Park Germany. I was a big fan of that attraction. I thought they packed in a lot of ride into what is a fairly similar sized building. I'd love to see them incorporate launches and turntables, but not a drop track, just so they can differentiate it enough from 13 in the same park. Heading on over to America, plans were leaked for a new B&M family inverted coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Virginia. Now I'm going to be honest, of all the new additions we're going to be talking about, this is the one that's most disappointing to me. Sure, things could technically still change, but as of now it seems they'll be putting in a similar ride to the upcoming Phoenix Rising at Busch Gardens Tampa, except this will feature 2 lift hills rather than 1. The reason I'm underwhelmed by this one is, 2025 is the park's 50th year anniversary. I think we all expected them to do something real big, especially considering they got approval for a 220-foot attraction in this plot of land. Like, what's that about? The other reason is I believe they're trying to pull at heartstrings and bring back Big Bad Wolf in a new form. Both rides hold riders under the track, have a family thrill intensity, contain 2 lift hills, and are even red. Only problem is Busch Gardens Williamsburg is not going to theme this coaster as well as Big Bad Wolf was. If you ignore all these things, then sure, it'll be a fun enough ride experience, but I don't think the park needs another family coaster right now, especially in the context of their 50th anniversary. Up next are 2 additions that have been delayed time and time again, and that's Circuit Breaker and Palindrome coming to Coda Land in Texas. Earlier this year, the park had finally confirmed that these 2 attractions would be ready in 2025, just at different times. In the spring will be Palindrome, a Gerstlauer infinity coaster with a very unique layout. Highlights include a steep twisting drop, a stall over a road, and a spike with a bunny hill incorporated into it, which will send riders in reverse. Towards the tail end of 2025, we'll be seeing the opening of Circuit Breaker, which is what we thought would be the first modern, large-scale Vekoma to come to the United States. As it turns out, Six Flags Great Adventure will be beating them to it with Flash Vertical Velocity, but I'm still more excited for this one. What we're looking at here is the first ever tilt coaster in the Western Hemisphere, a type of attraction where a section of track rotates 90 degrees and connects to a vertical drop. Additionally, the layout will feature lots of cool inversions and airtime moments, which I can't wait to see in action. Next up is an attraction that I don't think enough people are talking about, and that's the Mock Ride Striker coaster coming to Fantasia Land in Austria. So first of all, what is a Striker coaster? I liken it to a large-scale Big Dipper coaster similar to Lost Gravity at Walibi Holland. Next up, why is this tiny little park getting this? Well, if you remember from a few years earlier, we talked about how Wiener Prater, located about 3 hours away, was set to receive this exact same ride type. Long story short, that was cancelled, and though not confirmed, it would seem Fantasia Land was able to pick this project up at a discounted rate. This was all the while they were getting ready to close the legendary Wild Train and were most likely thinking about a replacement project. I'm not sure if this will be the same layout as the original concept art for Wiener Prater, but either way, it'll be by far the largest ride here and a great fit in their lineup. The first of a few new theme parks I want to talk about is Hazoland in northern Poland. While technically not confirmed for 2025, progress is moving quickly, and we've gotten lots of concept art of this park as well as their signature attraction. This will be a Vekoma Ghost Rider coaster, a first of its kind layout and model from the manufacturer. This thing looks absolutely ginormous and really cements Poland as the #1 country out there for Vekoma rides. If that wasn't enough, there should also be a Vekoma suspended thrill coaster similar to Hall's Uberkopf at Tripsdrill, a Mock Rides water coaster with an identical or nearly identical layout to Krampus Expedition at Nigloland, and lastly a Mock Rides Mine Train coaster. It'll be great to have another excuse to visit Poland, as Hazoland looks absolutely incredible. In 2018, King's Dominion in Virginia removed their most popular roller coaster, Volcano the Blast Coaster, due to unreliability and expensive maintenance costs. We've been waiting years to see what they'd eventually replace it with, and it seems 2025 will finally be the year we get a successor to Volcano. This will be in the form of a launched B&M Wing Coaster, a ride which I believe is a phenomenal fit in King's Dominion's lineup. Is it as unique as Volcano was? No, but will it be approximately as good as Volcano? In my opinion, yes. I'm a big fan of the launch at the start, and I think the rest of the layout with its 5 inversions will be tons of fun. Also, if I had to take a guess, King's Dominion will probably give this ride some nice theming to round things out. Aquila at Mandoria in Poland is a ride I've heard literally no one talk about, but it was officially announced by the park and ride manufacturer Vekoma in late 2023. What we're looking at here is a family launch coaster with 1,400 feet of track located in this beautiful tower. Though the layout's entirely different, last year we did see Vekoma debut Lightning in Sweden, which is a ride with a similar intensity and track length. One of its main features is it tracks the layout twice, and on the second pass goes a little faster. Don't quote me on this, but I'd be surprised if this feature isn't replicated on Aquila. Speaking of Vekoma, it seems they'll be introducing a dueling side-by-side family boomerang coaster to Nashville Zoo in Tennessee. We found out about this one way back in late 2022, so even though 2025 isn't technically confirmed to be the opening year, I find it exceedingly unlikely that it won't be. I suspect this attraction will be identical or nearly identical to Tweestreet at Wildlands Adventure Zoo in the Netherlands, which interestingly enough is also a wildlife park. It's not every day you see a sizable coaster added to a zoo, but it seems the locations that go for it find great success in it. Transformers at Sevan in Saudi Arabia will be the first full-size S&S Axis coaster to open around the world. We've been waiting to see where one of these would end up, and although it's in a location that a lot of us in the Western world might find difficult to access, it should still be a great ride anyway. Now, I've had the fortunate opportunity to experience a prototype Axis coaster at S&S's manufacturing site in Utah, and I fell in love with its unique elements and technology, which are really unlike anything else on the market. I hope potential customers get to see how awesome this ride is, and who knows, maybe the Axis coaster becomes a hot topic in the amusement industry. I sure hope it does. Remaining in the same country, Saudi Arabia, is perhaps the most anticipated new development of the year, which is amazing because, again, this is a place that a lot of us coaster enthusiasts might struggle to reach. Six Flags Qiddiya is a partner project between Six Flags Entertainment and the Qiddiya Group, which has gotten loads of funding from the Saudi Arabian government to boost tourism in the country. And if this park looks anything like the concept art, I do believe it will work. 8 roller coasters will call this place home, and I do want to talk about all of them, but there's really no better place to start than by introducing Falcon's Flight, the tallest, fastest, and longest roller coaster ever built. These stats don't even sound real, but here goes nothing. 639.8 feet tall, with the largest drop being 519 feet, a top speed of 155.3 miles per hour. And in my opinion, the most insane of them all, 13,943.6 feet of track. This will be manufactured by Intamin, and for those of you who never think it'll be built, joke's on you, it's probably 80% done as of this video's recording. But Falcon's Flight isn't the only incredible looking roller coaster coming to Six Flags Qiddiya. Iron Rattler Mine Train is a Vekoma tilt coaster, similar to the one we talked about earlier going to Codaland, except this one is over 200 feet tall. A hyper tilt coaster doesn't even sound possible, and I'm all here for it. The ride will have more than 4,000 feet of track and 5 inversions. Colossus is a GCI wooden hybrid coaster which will utilize the company's new Titan Track and Infinity Flyer trains. This will probably be slightly more intense than Zambezi Zinger at Worlds of Fun, so somewhere on that family thrill level. Spitfire is one that I think is flying way under the radar, but it's an Intamin shuttle launch coaster with the tallest inversion ever built at 239.5 feet tall. This will be in the form of an inverted top hat, which is already a very rare element, and putting it on this big of a scale will be incredible. That does it for the real big coasters, but to quickly list off the others, Adrenaline will be a Vekoma family inverted coaster, likely with its own original layout. Then there's also Sawmill Falls, a Mock Rides water coaster, Sea Stallion, which is a Mauer spike coaster, that's one I'm going to have my eyes on personally, and lastly Twilight Express, a small Vekoma family coaster. It goes without saying that I'm not crazy about where they're building this park, but I'm nonetheless incredibly excited to see it all pan out and eventually open to the public. Up next, Steel Pier in New Jersey will be following in the footsteps of other boardwalk parks in the area by putting in a big standout roller coaster. This will be a premier ride Skyrocket 2, which is a triple launch coaster standing 150 feet tall. There's clones of these all over the world. I've been on a number of them now, and though I'm not personally the biggest fan, I can acknowledge that objectively they're pretty good rides, and the location of this one is just going to be incredible. Now, last month, when Universal Parks and Resorts officially announced Universal's Epic Universe, I almost couldn't contain my excitement. It's exceedingly rare we see a theme park of this magnitude open up, and the fact that there's 3 big ones coming in 2025, the others being Six Flags Qiddiya and Land for those of you who forgot, is so exciting. The park's signature roller coaster will be Starfall Racers, a unique mock rides dueling coaster, each track of which will contain 5,000 feet of length. Let it be clear that this is not a Mobius coaster like Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain, where you experience both tracks in one ride experience. Each side of Starfall Racers is technically its own roller coaster with an entirely different layout, but they're long enough on their own that it doesn't really affect the ride experience. Another one I can't wait for is the Donkey Kong coaster opening in the Donkey Kong Country section of Super Nintendo World. We're seeing this debut this year at Universal Studios Japan, and this should be exactly the same thing. We'll be seeing a brand new ride system on these attractions where the train is connected to a secondary set of rails beneath the fake set that it looks like you're on. This will allow for some really cool moments where it looks like you're about to fly off the track. In the horror-themed Dark Universe section, there will be a Mock Rides family spinning coaster with a back-and-forth swing launch. This should absolutely be the tamest of the coasters here, but I still think it'll be very cool, especially if they theme it well, which they will because it's Universal. The last coaster here is ironically the one I've seen get the least amount of discussion, but I actually think it looks so much fun. This will be an intimate multi-launch coaster themed to How to Train Your Dragon with a nice long ride time and somewhere on that family thrill level. In many ways, it reminds me of Hagrid's Magical Creatures motorbike adventure over at Islands of Adventure, just on a bit of a smaller scale. It's really such a big year for Universal, and that's for more reasons than just Epic Universe, because another one of my most anticipated investments for 2025 is Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift at Universal Studios Hollywood. As a Southern California resident, oh my gosh, I've been stoked out of my mind to hear more about this project. This is that long-awaited big roller coaster I've wanted at Universal Hollywood since I first visited many years ago. The ride will be manufactured by Intamin and will feature a never-before-seen ride type by them where the vehicles will drift into elements. I'm not exactly sure how that's supposed to work, but that's why I've been so ecstatic about this thing. Even just looking at the layout, this thing is amazing. We've got 4 launches, inversions, airtime hills, and more, all the while the ride is utilizing the dramatic elevation change separating the upper and lower lots of the park. I really think this ride has the potential to be one of, if not the best roller coaster in California's history, and I can't wait to experience it in 2025. Next year is going to be a really big one for the Wallaby parks in Belgium and the Netherlands, and we'll start with the former because I really want to save the best for last. But certainly a Gerstlauer family multi-launch coaster coming to Wallaby, Belgium is nothing to scoff at. With 3 launches and a super fun layout over water, I do think this will be an incredible family coaster. It wouldn't have been my first choice for what the park should have added. Personally, I do believe they have enough family coasters for the time being, and I also think this ride has some eerily similar features to Tiki Waka. But if we're just looking at it on its own, I do think it'll be one of the better coasters at this park for sure. Wallaby Holland, on the other hand, has a very different project in the works, and that's a pair of dueling RMC Raptor coasters with differing intensities. One layout will be high thrill with inversions and airtime, and the other will be a family thrill coaster, most likely without inversions. As of now, we have no idea what the elements will be and what the layouts will look like and what the interactions between these coasters will be, but this is something so unique that we've never seen from RMC before. Plus, it'll be the first time we'll have seen a fully original layout on an RMC Raptor, technically 2 if you count both tracks as their own coaster. But that's going to do it for all the new coasters that we know about thus far. As I said in the beginning, there are a number of parks that have confirmed something big, but we don't actually know the specifics of the ride. These are Aquashow Family Park in Portugal, which is cool because this should absolutely be the largest roller coaster in the country. Freipertis City in France, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, will be adding what has been said by the park to be a financially challenging roller coaster, so in other words, a pretty big investment for a super small park. It's unknown if this will actually open in 2025 because that's what they were saying back in 2022 and a lot could have happened between now and then. Holiday Park in Germany will be adding a new steel coaster in 2025, and we've known about this one for a while but are still unsure about the type of ride it could be. Interestingly, the theme has been confirmed, and that's the Belgian dance music festival, Tomorrowland. Does this sound familiar? Holiday Park and Plopsaland are owned by the same company, and if they decide to add a similar coaster to Ride to Happiness at Holiday Park, I would be at a loss for words. The The last park I'll feature here is Magic Land in Italy, but for this one we really don't know any details whatsoever. To just sort of wrap things up, let me briefly go over a few of the parks where there are new roller coasters rumored but not confirmed. Canada's Wonderland in Ontario, Canada, released a survey a little while back with a few options as to what should be their next big roller coaster. It seems the most likely of these would be a launched B&M wing coaster that shoots out of the park's centerpiece Wonder Mountain. To me, this sounds eerily similar to like a fusion between King's Dominion's Volcano replacement and Volcano itself, so if they go with this, it might really overshadow them. Having said that, we have no idea if this will happen in 2025 or at all, so we'll just have to wait and see with this one. Gardaland in Italy will be celebrating their 50th year anniversary next year, and I'm praying they finally invest in a big new roller coaster because they haven't done so since 2015. Additionally, I feel like Gardaland is one of the only big European theme parks that have yet to add a standout coaster, as we've seen that happen at so many locations around the continent these past few years. Fans of Kings Island in Ohio are eagerly anticipating a replacement for the massive aerial looping coaster Vortex, which closed in 2019. Personally, I'd love to see them put in a multi-launch coaster by Mach Rides or even Vekoma. Knott's Berry Farm in California is one where we kept hearing about B&M Giga rumors, and then I guess that was downsized to a B&M Hypercoaster due to issues with noise, and now I'm not hearing anything at all. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'd personally bet on none of this happening. I've always felt like either of these were a long shot, but if they were to happen, 2025 could absolutely be the opening year. An hour and a half south, SeaWorld San Diego is a park I believe will be receiving a large-scale B&M coaster of some kind. I've heard rumors about this for a while and was even told by inside sources that they were true, so of the rides they could be adding, I think a wing coaster or surf coaster is on the way for SeaWorld San Diego. Six Flags Great America outside of Chicago is certainly overdue for a new coaster, as their last was in 2019 with Max Force, and this park typically doesn't go that long without a big new coaster. Now, for some reason, I was under the impression that 2025 was going to be their 50th year anniversary, which made me very confident they could be getting something, but as it turns out, that's in 2026. I made a mistake. So in my opinion, I would bet that they hold off another year and put in a large RMC Raptor with an identical layout to Jersey Devil at Six Flags Great Adventure in 2026. And lastly, Six Flags Magic Mountain has gotten rid of a few buildings atop the mountain, including the Golden Bear Theater, opening up a sizable chunk of room for a potential new attraction. Personally, I don't think they'll add a coaster here, nor do I think they really need another one. I'd rather them focus on beautification and improving park operations before adding another roller coaster. While we're on the topic of Six Flags, we know they'll be spending $200-something million on new investments in 2025, and to just throw out some guesses, I genuinely really hope it's Six Flags New England's turn for something good. Their last roller coaster was in 2017, and that was an SNS 40 free spin, so nothing special by any means. Another park in a similar situation is Six Flags Mexico. Their last coaster was in 2018, and again, that was a free spin, so I really think it's time they get a new coaster as well. Both of these parks desperately need a launch coaster, as that's by far the biggest gap in each of their respective lineups. And if Six Flags wanted to save a pretty penny, I don't think anyone would draw issue with them cloning these, since the amount of people who will ever visit Six Flags New England and Six Flags Mexico is obscenely slim. But alright, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give it a like and subscribe to Coaster Dash for more content like this in the future. Also, let me know what your most anticipated 2025 roller coaster is. One more thing I'll mention is I recently launched the long-awaited Coaster Dash merchandise store, so be sure to pick up a t-shirt or a hoodie or something else. There will be a link to that in the description for those of you interested. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.